Alright, what is up guys? I said I'd be making this video after in my last one. I wanted to make a bit more in-depth of a video in terms of like a fighter guide because my last one was very quick. It was kind of just like a rough version. I guess this would be a bit more refined because I've been playing this patch for a bit longer. I've become way more familiar with like stats, gear, that type of stuff. And I think I have a better idea of what's very, very good and what you should be building and how you should be playing. To start off with, once again, just go over perks really quick. Like I said, nothing's changed here before. You're still running your same shit. Defense Mastery, Swift, all that. Shield Mastery, very OP with running Shield. And then, so, Dual Wield, I honestly don't even know if I mentioned this, but Dual Wield is currently bugged. So, it does work with the shield. You still have a shield on, Dual Wield does currently work with the shield. However, sometimes it won't be active, and if it's not active, you know, which you can see by looking at the icon at the bottom. If it's not there, unequip your shield, re-equip it, it'll be working. And this is definitely a bug, and it will be fixed at some point. Whenever this is fixed, we will be running Counterattack. Counterattack is fantastic. Oh, there it is. Counterattack is fantastic. If you block something, you get 10% move speed and 10% action speed for 3 seconds. Pretty awesome. Move speed's very good. However, until then, we are taking dual wield because this gives you 10% action speed all the time, not just for, 3 seconds after blocking. Also, Adrenaline Spike is worth mentioning. I think it's definitely possible to take over counterattack. However, I just really like the move speed from counterattack, especially when you're chasing people down like rangers or people that throw stuff at you, fighters shooting crossbows, rogues throwing knives, wizards. If you block running at a wizard and he throws a fireball and you block it, or ice bolt and you block it, get that move speed bonus. It's really, really nice because this isn't 10% of your move speed, so I wouldn't be getting like 8.8% here. I would be getting a flat 10% added on, so I'd be at 98%. Also, I didn't mention that actually. Honestly, this is something else. I'm not sure if I mentioned. So, like defense mastery and swift, these do work. I take it off and you don't see a change down here in my PDR. However, these do work. It is just bugged. It does not show them on the screen in here, but these do actually give you the stats. I've tested it. Trust me, it does work. So these are still good to run. Trust me, still run these. These are still fantastic. You do want to use them. Other than that, like I said, nothing's really new. Sprint still mandatory. Second win. I think here is where you can make an argument for some other perks or skills, whichever one you call actives. So so we did get a nerf to this, 10% off of it, so from 50% to 40%. But the bigger thing is anti-heal on Fire Mastery from Wizards cuts this further to 20% over 12 seconds, which is very, very little. So you could make an argument to run something like Adrenaline Rush or even Taunt. None of these others are good, so don't consider these. It would literally just be these two. I don't think Adrenaline Rush is that good. I mean, it's only 15% action speed for 8 seconds. That's very, very low. So, and especially... Oh, excuse me. I'm very tired. Oh. Oh, whew, that was a big yawn. Anyways, 15% action speed for 8 seconds. Really not that big. However, Taunt is 10% PDR and MR. The MR isn't that much. I mean, it's not really going to, do a lot for you. It's going to give you a bit, not a whole lot. The PDR is where it's really going to come in. For example, with this build, whenever I'm blocking, I have about 63% PDR. Or whenever I have my shield out, not when I'm blocking, I meant. But I have about 63% PDR. Taunt gives me another 10% on top of that. So I'd be very, very tanky physically. And, like I said, 10% MR. It's nice. You take a little bit less magic damage. However, I still personally do like second wind. This is just something I've seen other people run. So if you want to try it out yourself, feel free to do so. It's up to you. You live your life how you best feel you need to do so. Alright, on to gear. The gear I said last time was still pretty accurate. However, I'm more firm in what I believe the correct stat choices are. So, first of all, what you want, you see here, I have a giant HP pool. This is what you want. You want a lot of HP. And one thing that does that are these max HP necklaces we have now. Necklace of Peace. These can roll max HP, which is very, very good. It's a fantastic stat. And, if you get these, get some other good stats, like, either roll, like, +1 all is probably your best thing, and then get good substats like move speed. Fantastic. This is a great necklace. I am using this over a lot of other purples. For example, like, I have this really incredible Ox Pendant. Not using this. I would rather use this because this gives more HP. Alright, and then for weapons, you still have your Falchion. Falchion's great. Does a ton of damage. Arming Sword is good. However... you can't really pump out legendary arming swords the same way you can falchions. For example, you go to your weaponsmith, And keep in mind, my weaponsmith is ranked up. I finished all the quests for this. And whenever you do that, you can craft Falchions of Honor again, which means you can pump out legendary Falchions relatively easily with little to no effort. I mean, sure, there's a money spend, but, you know, even if you spend money, you can't necessarily get a good legendary arming sword. So, getting that legendary Falchion, a legendary Falchion is always going to be better than a purple arming sword, you know, considering they have similar roles. There you go on that. Shield. The shield doesn't really matter too much. It's a heater shield or a round shield. I don't personally think it matters. Round shield does have a bit lower of a movement speed penalty. It's about 1% difference whenever your shield's out. It's 15 to 12. However, the round shield does break easier for certain weapons, but it does recover faster if broken. However, that doesn't really matter as much because if you run heater shield, there's basically nothing in the meta that's going to break your guard. Also, it gives you a bigger block, which is really, really nice for a lot of things. I think rogues, think wizard spells, all that type of stuff. I really, really value it. And war mauls aren't really in meta right now because there are not many people playing Barb, even though I feel like they should because I think Barb is very, very good. Like I said, those things that could break your heater shield aren't in meta. There's mostly just a bunch of things that are like, you know, really smaller weapons or smaller things that you would need a bigger surface to block, where heater shield comes in. I'm a really big fan of it. Really like it. Hound Skull. I think Hound Skull is your best helmet. I think it gives vigor. I mean, I don't think. It does give vigor, which is fantastic. Vigor is just an amazing stat. Gives you so much HP, which is exactly what you want. Then, moving on. Dark Plate. No surprise here. Dark Plate is the best chess piece. Just kind of how it is. Gives you MR, lower move speed penalty, and it has a high armor rating. Basically, it's everything you could possibly want. Find Curious, while it does give you more armor, it has a much higher move speed penalty of at 35 instead of 25. And instead of giving positive MR, it gives minus, which is very, very bad. Very bad. In a meta where wizards are really OP, you do not want to have negative magic resistance. You will die even faster than you already are. Moving on to gloves. Reinforced gloves. These are your best gloves, without a doubt. Used to be riveted, not anymore, because vigor is now more of a priority than strength is. Strength is nice to build as a secondary stat. As you see, I do have some strength built. I have 25 right here. However, it is not the main stat you want. The main stat you want is HP, which comes with vigor. And then you see I even have a substat rolled of HP and strength. Something like this would be really, really good. Ideally, I'll move on to another piece that shows like pretty much the best rolls you could possibly get. For legs, heavy leather legs are great. However, if you can get them, wolf hunters are ideally your best rolls. You would going to get wolf hunters with like vigor rolled, and that would pretty much be the best thing you could possibly have. Because the wolf hunters already have strength and max health on them. You get vigor, that's even more health. And they have a high armor rating with low move speed penalty compared to normal heavy leathers. You see these are 39 armor rating with negative 8 move speed. Whereas the ones that I have on, 31 armor rating with a negative 12 move speed. So, like I said, heavy leathers are good. They are your best leggings that aren't wolf hunters. Wolf hunters will be your bis, which they're the bis for pretty much every class in the game that aren't going to wear demon clads. So, you know, just running heavy leathers is fine until you get really good wolf hunters. How it works. On to boots. And like I said before, this right here is pretty much the best roll you could possibly hope for on any piece of gear. Strength, or a vigor base, like rugged boots, then get strength, move speed bonus, dexterity, and power. Pretty much every single stat you could possibly want for on these boots. Really, not much else. Maybe, like, ideally, the dexterity isn't as needed. You could roll agility here, and the agility would be better than the dexterity because it gives you more move speed. However, not that big a deal. Dexterity is still useful because it gives you attack speed. But other than that, everything here is fantastic. These are all the stats you'd want. We are not in a meta any longer where you need to build armor rating. You kind of just passively get a good bit from, like, you know, stats on gear, shield, defense mastery, all of that, to where you're getting to a pretty high amount. And the thing is, in this meta and in the fights, let's say, for example, you know, like I said, I'm about 63% PDR. It's a pretty normal number, around 60 to 70%. 70's on the higher end. But if you were pushing 80% in these fights, it really wouldn't change the outcome. Because most of the time, you're going to end up dying to magic damage. And having 80% PDR doesn't do a damn thing against wizard spells. And the thing is, like, at 65% PDR, if you're fighting only physical damage comps, you're most likely going to beat them anyways. If you can't beat them at 65% PDR, which you should, then you're not going to beat them at 80% PDR because you're just playing bad at that point. And that's just how it is. Other than that, as you know, gotta run the crossbow. absolutely need it. We have no other source of ranged. Just kind of how it is. It is a necessary evil to exist, to allow fighter to exist. Without crossbow, this character would be pretty much completely obsolete. You'd be kited by everything in the game. Wouldn't be able to catch anything, and it would suck. It'd be absolutely awful. All right, and this is the gear choice. Like I said, I haven't changed much. Rings. Like I said, I did go over a necklace. Rings. I think Ring of Vitality, which is the vigor base, is probably your best. However, we're going Rings of Courage, if you have really good ones, is also perfectly fine. Once again, you could also go things like Ring of Agility if you really want move speed, or you could go Dexterity or Vigor Rings. However, you know, I think Strength and Vigor is your best bet. Agility, maybe, but you would need a very, very good Agility ring. Very, very good. It would need like at least HP rolls on it to really do anything. Because like I said before, HP is your most valuable resource in the current meta. Because HP is the most effective magic resist you can build. Because you can't actually build magic res that good. Like I said, as you see, I have Dark Plate on here, and I have the only thing that's giving me Midas magic res is my Hound Skull, and I'm only at 16.8%, and this is basically irrelevant. And I mean, sure, you could build, like, try to build magic res rolls, but that doesn't really give you much. So the most effective thing you can build against magic damage will be just flat HP. You just become a really fat meat shield that they have to try to get through. And moving on from that, there are also some other gear choices that we can make. For example, if you have your tailor leveled up, I don't actually have it because I literally just crafted one for my friend. However, there is a golden cloak you can make in here, and it gets to roll +3 all attributes, and you can use that for your cloak. And if you get a one with, it has no armor, it has like 1 armor rating roll, but that doesn't matter because it can roll +3 all for the cloak, which is absolutely insane, and you could put that on instead. And then for the armor, because I don't have this unlocked either, because I don't have this quest finished, you can make golden armor, and most of it's not that good. However, Hound Skull is really the only thing you're going to make. There's golden plate, which is a fine cuirass. There's a golden armet. There's like golden gauntlets, golden leggings, and golden boots. Like I said, most of this you're not going to wear. The gloves and legs don't have any new stats on them. However, all the gold armor passively has, I can show you here on this armor over here, all the gold armor passively has this 1.5 magic damage reduction and 10 luck. However, the gloves and the legs have no stats other than that, so they have no vigor, no strength, none of that. The Hound Skull will have vigor on its own, and the plate boots will have strength. So those are optional. Yeah, I think the Hound Skull will be the best thing you can run if you get to that point, but that is not something that is going to be common or mainstream at all for a while, because one, you see here, for example, like let's look at these. These take 8 powder to craft. Each powder costs 3 ore. And ore right now is going for a lot. Each ore is going for about 150 gold. So you're looking at a lot of gold. You're looking at 3,000 plus gold to craft a helmet. So it is not realistic, even though, I mean, I'm just mentioning it because that is like the best possible thing you could do or wear. And I want to keep that in mind. But like I said, running something like this on a budget kit is perfectly fine. You can still absolutely do this. And for that, running a cloak really just comes down to whatever you have your best cloak. Vigor cloaks are ideal. Strength cloaks are good if you have good stats. But like I said, I do think vigor cloaks are the best thing possible. And then moving on from the gear, kind of talking about Fighter's place in the meta right now. Fighter is, you know, and as always been a frontliner. That's what Fighter is supposed to be. However, I have said Fighter is weak, and I do stand by that point. And the reason being is Fighter has to contest Wizard. Wizard is very, very hard for Fighter to deal with, especially if the Wizard plays with their brain. If they put themselves in a position where you cannot crossbow them, because listen, I'm gonna explain this to you guys right now, because I hear this all the time. It's like, oh, you can just one-shot them with a crossbow, just one-shot them with a crossbow. First of all, no intelligent wizard has so little HP that they can get one-shot by a crossbow. In this incredible kit right here, this crossbow and a headshot on the dummy is gonna hit for about 100 damage. Maybe 105 to 110, but that is the absolute max. A good wizard is going to push 120, 130 HP at least, and that's not counting like their 10 to 15% damage reduction. So even with a headshot, I'm not going to one-shot them. But the thing is, more importantly, just because I know I'm going to kind of go off tangent here. More importantly, you cannot shoot a crossbow at someone Because, well, the worst, first of all, this is not a 1v1 situation. It is a 3v3 team fighting situation. You cannot pull out a crossbow in the middle of a fighter or a barbarian or a cleric hitting you in the face and shoot at a wizard. You can't, that's not how it works. You just can't do that. Like, a lot of people just say just crossbow them and completely ignore everything else, and that's just not how it works. An intelligent wizard isn't going to put themselves in your field of view where you can shoot them at all. Like, that's just not going to happen. They're not just going to run out in front of you and stand still and cast a magic missile, which is what most bad players do, and they die for it, and they think, you know, wizard's bad or fighter's OP or whatever. That's just not how it works. What you have to do is you have to effectively bait out spells, you have to dodge spells, you have to position absolutely perfectly, and if you don't, you will die. That is just how it is. In this kit right here, this insane kit that you guys see here, I can die incredibly easily to a wizard if I misplay even slightly. That's the thing is, what you really need to do in this meta is it's very, very hard to actually catch a wizard and kill them because of how fast they are and their invisibility. You don't really want to be the one chasing. Ideally, you don't have one of your teammates do it, whether you have a ranger or a wizard of your own. You want to lock down the enemy front line so they can't move past you. Because the thing is, you're very tanky and you provide enough of a threat with your damage, excuse me, because you're using a falchion, that you can threaten their front line and force their cleric, which is I'm assuming they have a cleric because they should, to keep healing them. And you let your backline try to do their job. Ideally, you let your wizard or your ranger deal with theirs. If you can catch them, then obviously, you know, it's fantastic to do so. And if you kill them, you know, great. Something that I think is worth mentioning here that I've been using recently is invisibility potions. If you don't use these things are fantastic. It gives you stealth for 50 seconds for a blue, 40 seconds for a green, and the white ones are 30 or 20 or something. They're pretty low. So I would recommend, I don't recommend using them often unless you have at least 2 green, because sometimes these can take quite a while to actually, you know, make the use. You can't drink one if it's like a 10-second potion. They're not necessarily going to immediately push, or they'll see you, or they hear you or something. And like most of the times that I've used these, I've been at a spot where I have to wait like 20, 30 seconds for them to push. However, if you can get a good bait off with an invisibility potion, you can get like pretty much pop up in the middle of a fight, insta-kill a cleric, insta-kill a wizard, ranger, whatever it may be, and just put your team at a pretty much insta-win position. I've done this several times over the past few days, because normally I didn't use invisibility potions, but I have been trying them, and I think these are fantastic, and I do highly recommend it. Something else is make sure you use protection potions. The protection potions are great. Things is these give you damage, these block physical damage, which is while you say, like, oh, why do I need to block physical damage? Because one extra hit can matter. Even if you are incredibly tanky physically, that one extra hit could change the entire fight. They could live on 1 HP while you died, and if you had that, you know, you were able to live that extra hit, you would have been fine. So use your protection potions, take invisibility potions, try to use these. Other than that, for consumables, you could use explosive bottles. I don't actually have any on me right now. I'm kind of out. However, explosive bottles are very, very good as well. One of the best things about explosive bottles is if you're worried about a buff ball team pushing you or a wizard pushing you invis, you throw them on the ground at like a doorway or something. If they have to pass through it, fire hits them, takes them out of invis, you can see them. Boom. Crisis averted. So that is one of that. I think those are the 3 best utility options you have. Prop pot, obviously, I mean, everybody loves prop pots. Invis pots, great for making flank plays, great for baits. And Molotovs, absolutely perfect for countering invis plays, if you know, and you're in the right situation. They can't counter them every situation, but in most situations, they can counter them, and it's very, very nice to have. Highly recommend it. But other than that, I don't think there's much else for me to go over. Like I said, fighter's place in the meta right now, you know, it's just you are still the front line. You have to try to be. Fighter is in a spot right now where you have to be very, very careful. I'm sure a lot of you have experienced this. You can die very, very easily to people that are a lot less geared than you right now. You can be in a kit that is 5, 10 times worth theirs, and if you make one slight mistake, like you sprint in the wrong spot, you know, step through a doorway you shouldn't, you can pop very, very easily. So like I said, you just have to be very careful. Fighter isn't unplayable. We're not there yet. Fighter is still very playable. I'm not going to call them good. I think they're okay. And, you know, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, no, like, fighter propaganda. No, it's just, you don't know. I'm a knower. They're not knowers. Fighter is okay. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's horrible. It's a bit below average, I'd say. I think Barbarian is better than it. I think most people haven't tried Barbarian because people just, they don't, I think part of it they don't want to, and another part is like they don't know how to. But I think Barbarian is incredibly strong right now if built properly, and especially when you have paired with Wizard with Invis, it's just kind of insane. I don't understand why you would run Fighter over Barbarian unless you just want to for fun, which is what I'm doing. But yeah, that's a topic for another video. Anyways, this sums it up for the more in-depth fighter guide. I hope there's some information in here that wasn't in the last video. Although I hope I didn't just make the same video twice like an idiot. Which is possible. Because, I do stuff like that all the time. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, feel free to like, subscribe, all that stuff. And, if you want to talk about anything, if you have your own opinions, feel free to comment down below. And, I recommend go out and try this build. I've heard a lot of people, they've tried this gear level. They've had very good success. So I recommend all you do that as well. This is what I'll be using. And until next time, peace.